All right, everybody. Welcome to a Leo Astro Round Table for the year 2026. We're going to look at all the things about Leo and how it interacts with the other signs around the table or around the wheel. And then we'll take a look at the current weather we can anticipate for Leo season of this year, too, at the end. First thing we look at is the element, and the element of Leo is fire. Fire has to do with all things related to the identity, who we are as an individual, that spark of ego, our passion, that desire and drive, that nature of kind of going out and being active. It's our spirit. It's that which is the light, that bright part of us that is ever present and eternal. And it's the symbol of energy. It's burning. It's energized. It's energy. So fire is energy, identity, passion, and spirit. As far as the modality of Leo, we think about cardinal, fixed, or immutable. It's in the middle of summer, and the signs in the middle of the season are fixed. So for this time, it is Leo is summer. And all things fixed have got this quality of holding together. We're sustaining, we're holding. It's kind of like the amassment that is fortifying that energy signature. So for Leo, we are fortifying and really holding on to fire in some way. And all fixed signs have something to do with security. We're keeping that elemental energy, for lack of a better word, stable. We're securing it. It's like a rock or an amassment of Leo energy, fire energy. All right. The glyph and the symbol for Leo. Leo is the lion, and the little symbol that we look at here is supposed to be the head of a lion with the mane flowing down behind. So if you've ever wondered, like, how does this symbol fit for this particular creature or whatnot, there is a correlation between them, and I have been trying to explain those, and now you know why this is Leo. It's the head of a lion with a mane of hair flowing down behind it. The lion, as far as a symbol for this sign, relates to all things that are royal. In fact, the idea of a royal king. Back in the day, astrology was only practiced for the kings. We looked at their horoscopes, see what kind of day or what kind of lifetime they're having, to kind of look at what was going on for the masses. But now we can look at all the individual stars in the kingdoms. But the royal aspect of being the king, you think about the sun is a planet associated with Leo, and it is the center of the solar system. The quality of Leo being like the center of attention, the ego, all of these kind of bright and shining central roles are in that aspect of being royal and king. I'm also skipping ahead a little bit, thinking about the idea that children are a part of this, and thinking about someone being like a little prince archetype, or how all kids think they're the center of the universe in some respect. That royal entitlement of being like a king is often associated with children too, which is in that same zone. So it's just that royal sense of identity, which we can see exemplified in actual royalty. It also gets us into the Nemean lion. That was a Hercules, one of his 12 labors. So that famous lion, the Nemean lion, I believe is where the actual constellation of this lion comes from, which Hercules had to defeat as one of his tasks. And then he wore the skin of the lion around as a form of armor, since the lion's claim to fame was that invulnerability, that toughness. Then we also see the lion famously in the strength card of tarot, often with the young maiden that kind of like has it subdued, or can be close to the tiger and not be uh, getting attacked or anything. So strength, there's a quality of this courage and strength of spirit that's associated with the lion, with Leo. So courage and leadership. I often say that Leo is one of the three leadership signs, quote unquote. I think about that with Aries, Leo, and Capricorn. And Leo's aspect of that is very much like in the middle of being managerial for everything around it, that central figure that juggles the satellites around it. So, a little tie into the glyph and the symbol for Leo. Planets, we dived in a little bit already, but let's take a deeper look. The main thing for Leo is definitely the ruler is the sun. Sun, sun, sun. The sun is the most important planet for Leo. And the sun is one of those planets that is always associated with masculine. We just looked at Cancer last month, and the moon is always associated with feminine. Um, Sun always masculine. All the other planets have got a masculine and a feminine sign correlation, but with the sun, it is strictly yanged out in Leo. And then the detriment, well, so before I go to the detriment, the ruler, sun just fits who Leo is. It rules it, the center, the magnanimous, glowing, generous, radiant, center of attention, energizing, vitality, all of those qualities. The sun and Leo just go together like peas and carrots. And then the detriment. Detriment are planets that rule the opposite sign. The opposite sign is Aquarius. So it's classically ruled by Saturn, and it also has Uranus in that jurisdiction. So there are ways that both of these planets at that mundane level can be a little bit wonky in Leo land. First of all, with Saturn in a sign that is about the radiant expression, this fun, this bright, this all of these sun qualities. You think of sun, you think of smiling and energizing and all of that. Saturn is very like, no, cold, hard, serious, for a sign that's usually warm and playful. So the sun is this warm, playful, energetic, creative planet. Saturn is strict, rigid, structured, serious, grave, sober, all of these kind of qualities that are restrictive or inhibiting for flow and movement. And so they can be a little bit restricting and limiting for Leo's expression and a sign that's all about expression. Saturn can be a little tight or add a lot of tightness and strict quality to that area. Uranus, there's a bit of paradox between Saturn and Uranus, although they both rule Aquarius for different respects. But Uranus also is not exactly um, the fit for Leo in a mundane sense. If you think about the sun, the glow and its central position is steady. It's a steady central outpouring of energy that is kind of like stabilized. When you think about the energy of Uranus, it is electric, it is exciting, it is spontaneous. Um, Leo's sign is all about the sense of self and Uranus is about the sense of groups and collectives and networks. And so when you get um, that Uranus energy in the Leo mold, it can be a little bit erratic. It can make for, that lack of steadiness and more of an, eccentricity. It can also uh, just thwart or disrupt creative expression, having a sense of maybe solidarity to it. But there's a little bit of a disruptive, um, jolting vibe that Uranus is putting down into that Leo sphere, just by the nature of who they are as energy archetypes. Also putting, if Leo is supposed to be focusing and centralizing the energy of self. If Uranus at that level is too much about um, the collective concerns, it's not exactly helping to, again, stabilize the expression of a core ego. That core central ego and the journey expressed by the sun in that sign is how it kind of cooks. And Uranus can just make it a little bit less sequential, less together, less stable. Moving on to the next kind of assignments for planets, we have exaltation, and that is kind of like whatever planet is a good fit. It's like a best friend in that zone. and there are none for the sign of Leo. It is not a sign where other planets are exalted. The sun just really being the ruler is it. There isn't any other planet that has a special significance and an exaltation. In a fall, there typically would be none for that also, although it would be what planet is exalted in Aquarius. Traditionally, nothing really is. But we've talked about before that there is a case to be made for Mercury being exalted in Aquarius. Because, often it is said to be exalted in Virgo, but it already rules Virgo. So for the sake of giving it a different exaltation, some people have said, hey, um, Mercury, an intellectual planet, does exceedingly well in Aquarius, which is an intellectual sign associated with brilliance, genius, innovation, etc. So Mercury, as scientific, logical mindedness in Aquarius, seems quite exalt. And by that way, Mercury would then fall in Leo. It would fall in the opposite sign. As far as how and why that could be a fit to make sense, Mercury is the messenger planet, about zipping back and forth and navigating here and there to deliver correspondences and messages between us and others. Um, so it's traveling, it's going around. Leo is a sign again associated with um, our core central position. And so Mercury from the position of Leo can be very me, self-referential, thinking that my way, my ego, my thoughts are the best, the most important, having a lot of ego or pride about thinking and our opinions. Whereas in and of itself, Mercury is really all about hearing the whole audience, hearing everybody, hearing all the ideas, this and that, splitting hairs, looking at opposites, seeing things both ways. So it can get to a place where it's just too much in love with what is close to home or close to itself in Leo land, perhaps. So that is a case that can be made for a fall of Mercury. Although classically you'll hear nothing's exalted and nothing falls in Leo. Once you get into the esoteric lore of astrology, the esoteric ruler for Leo is also the sun. And you can look ahead to see hierarchically that is also true. And it just really impresses how much the sun is the fit for Leo. And the sun, in and of itself, out of all of the spheres and the points of astrology, it's our local star. It is a star, the star quality, that central. And, most people that just know their sun sign. It is the biggest, brightest thing in the sky. It has the most to say about our identity. And that sun is synonymous with soul, Soul, and so it's that brighten that it's like that macrocosmic spark of which we all have within us, that spark of the divine, that singularity, that grand cosmic identity of our Christ consciousness. All of those things are the sun. And Leo is really the sign of the zodiac that carries the significance of that jurisdiction with it, that place where we really shine and radiate who we are as a solar being. So the esoteric sense of soul development also has the sun ruling there. And it's going to have more of those soul embodiment qualities. Whereas at the mundane sense, it can be about just a strong ego, having pride in oneself. But you can get some of the hubris and those other downfall shadows of the sun, such as pride, and an overly self-aggrandizement or entitlement or the me of ego, are all sun mundane issues. But esoterically, the sun is about how we are shining our true soul self. And at that esoteric level, it's veiling Neptune. And so Neptune and Uranus, I kind of say splitting hairs between which level is veiling which of these, because those are just those far out transpersonal planets. But if I was to think and tune into Neptune for a second and how it could be related, veiled by the sun, it's that quality that our self-expression, that radiant central star quality of our esoteric sun soul nature, is really hiding that selflessness of Neptune. That compassionate perspective of seeing all as one, that state of grand atonement, at one-ment, is what Neptune represents. So when we are functioning at the esoteric level through the sun in Leo, we are shining in this bright, radiant Christ force that's low-key hiding a selflessness and a soft compassion and a sense of using our central identity on behalf of the everybody, nobody that is the all. So that's what Neptune brings to the soul level there. Hierarchically, and thinking about this is it's like the level above the soul of any individual. It's like the grand patterning of a larger body or network or system and what planet fits there. And the sun, again, the sun is that central, generous, energizing, vital feature for all shining, all revelation, all illumination, all of those energizing qualities. So it again rules that hierarchical level, but it can have more of a veiling Uranus quality to it. And Uranus, we talked about being in detriment if we're talking about it from this ego land. These first four categories are really all mundane ego related. And so Uranus is going to be a little bit disruptive and wonky to a clear, solid, centralized, solidified self, sense of self with that, all due importance. Um, However, at the highest level, if someone is using their sun in a well-developed ego, a strong sense of being, able to accomplish, do, stabilize, etc., if they're using that on behalf of aims and networked configurations of the collective that are bigger than it, it can really be a central force that kind of speaks and broadcasts on behalf of a larger network and collective. So there's this chain of having a strong sense of self so that we can act in selfless ways that are then collectively fulfilling or collectively energizing, collectively radiating. It's adding collectively networked value as it stretches along into the hierarchical domain. So that is a journey of thinking about what planets fit in Leo and how and why. Leo is the fifth sign, so it represents the fifth house. And the fifth house of astrology I often refer to as the fun box because it is all the things that are entertaining, playful, creative, toys and games, all of that is the fifth house, all creative expressions. I think of Toys R Us. We also get romance in the sense of dating or having fun with someone like a playmate, this playmate quality to others of fun and romance and, going out and doing things that are entertaining. That's all fifth house. And children are fifth house. They are creative expressions. You literally create them and express them from your body. They're they are fifth house elements, and often people creative energies, if it's not going into art and singing and dancing or whatever we're making, it may be going into children and what they're creating. Some places that would be particularly fifth house would be something like an amusement park or a recreation center. All these places where fun and games take place. Um, this is a zone to generously stand and deliver of one's specialness as the center of attention for an audience. It's the ringmaster. We talk about the sun being the center of the solar system. The fifth house is where you feel like the center of the universe. This is, the coolest thing ever. It's the best thing ever. It's what you feel fun and entertaining and creative. You feel strong and proud and generous about sharing this, showing this, because it's something that you love in a fun, easy, playful, creative way. It's also on the right half of the chart, so it's interactive. We do want to be seen. The sun wants to be seen. So we want an audience that's going to receive and applaud whatever we're doing, whether, liking our kids and what they're doing, liking our art or our talent. It's that idea of being seen and appreciated for the specialness of who we are and what we enjoy as we share that with others. Um, Oh, just ignore that early life. That's a tagline from editing. That is Cancer. Early life, infancy, and key family with who one is at home with. That's Cancer. Since it's in here and I'm already that deep, I would say that that level is what hatches into Leo. And we'll look at that when we look at the neighbors. But that early life that incubates us is the sign of Cancer, where we're at home with our domestic sphere. And Leo is where we hatch. It's where the egg hatches out and we're out on the stage singing and dancing and showing who we are. We aren't shy, hiding in an eggshell anymore in Cancer. We are in Leo in the sun, running around, playing, being seen, expressing, talking, singing, all that. So it's that which one spotlights with importance to enjoy in a playful manner. So whatever you think is fun, you shine a spotlight on. And when you do stuff, you're the center of attention. So it's something that you find important, you enjoy, and it's presented, presented in the present moment for other people through playful creative expressions. So fifth house. Keyword soup. Keyword soup, these are all Leo vibing keywords and things that associate. We've some of them have already come up, but fun. Fun is definitely owned by Leo. Hashtag fun. Creative, all acts of creativity. You know, your talent, arts and crafts. If you're doing it, if you're exhuming energy with it, it's creative. Entertain, whether you're entertaining others or being entertained, all forms of entertainment. Play, just being silly, not being, it's like the opposite of serious. You know, Saturn is serious, opposite. Um, Sun and Leo is playful, ha ha ha, smile, expression. It's really what you put out there. You shine and radiate out the expression. So what you express. Children or a creative expression we talked about. It is a manager in that leadership sense, it is managerial. And I break that down from different things like Capricorn, the vibe is administrator, executive functioning. Um, Aries, you get like the militant, like captain, you know, the one that just charges forward, the one that's the go-getter. Leo manages. It's managing many units, many groups, many personalities that are satelliting around. It's the manager that's circulating what's around it. Capricorn's doing the orders from the top of, you know, what needs to happen. Leo is managing how the components do it, and Aries is sending things off to just go into it. But manager is a keyword for Leo. Central, anything that's the center of attention, the core, the central core, anything that's like that, Leo. Bold, it like the sun. It shines, it stands out, it's bold. Generous. The sun generously is offering its energy. It doesn't request anything. It wants to show and tell and share. Leo's generous with itself and its resources and its fun and its talent. Doesn't mind showing off or showing what it can do. Ego is that central sense of self. It's who we are, our special identity. Being proud, pride. Um, it's that sense of smiling about who one is, what one can do, all of that sense of satisfaction with oneself. Romaine, that should be romanceful type of romance and dating. We've talked about it's the fun, playful side of interacting with others. It's getting someone that's that audience member to smile back and like us for, you know, what we can show things that are warm. We often don't think, you know, all fire signs can get hot, you know, and the anger quality of fire, but Leo is not quite like that so much as what we'd associate Aries to be fired up, really hot to trot and, you know, quick. There's a warm glow to Leo energy. So it's warm, it's inviting, it's all of those smiling qualities. Energizing and energized. It's full of energy and it's offering energy. So keywords. A little tagline, what is it doing? brightly radiating one's special nature for others to enjoy in a reaffirming manner that elicits applause and encourages greater showmanship. So the sun is showing itself, it's offering itself, it's giving its rays for others to soak up and photosynthesize and all of that in a way that everything appreciates and soaks it up, and that kind of encourages and you know, supply and demand, if everything is soaking it up and enjoying the offering of Leo and the sun or whatnot, it creates more. There's encouragement to show more, to shine more, to generously offer more. So it's that relationship. As far as orientations and time, past, present, and future, I definitely say that there is a present quality for Leo. It is very much about standing out strong in the present moment to shine one's light. Being present, shining, smiling, doing, singing, dancing. Present moment is Leo's strongest orientation. I'd say after that, it's probably future. Listen, Leo's not hung up on the past as far as signs go, particularly. It's looking forward to the future for opportunities to showcase or entertain. What else do I want to play with? What else do I want to show? What else is worth smiling about? Would be a Leo kind of thing. And then third, we all are going to interact with the past, and for Leo, it's going to reference the past for expressions of fun to enjoy again. If I liked that before, that might be something to do again. If other people liked that before, that might be something they would like again. So it's referential maybe to the past, although being present is really the core orientation to time, I find. Relationships around the wheel now. Every sign is sitting somewhere around that wheel of 12, and so they all have some kind of interaction with every other seat. And the first seat I look at is opposite the table, and the seat opposite from Leo is Aquarius. And I always say that the opposite sign is not butting heads so much as holding hands. They're complementary in a marriage. We will see a lot of opposites that are paradoxically reconciled in their the relationship between those two signs across from one another. So Leo is fixed fire, Aquarius is fixed air. They're both fixed and they're both of the yang orientation, so they have something in common. Leo is subjective. It's about my special sense of self. So that's me, me, me. Subjective, my fun, who I am. Aquarius over there is objective. It's all about the facts. It's all about the intellectual logic blueprint architecture. Leo is exuberant, expressive, loud, vivacious, energetic, all of those things. Aquarius is a little bit more cool and detached. It's got that cool-headedness. It's since it's being so logical, it's detached from things. It's not as emotive. Um, Leo then is managing and ringleading. Let me do it. I'll be the spokesperson. I'll tell everybody what to do. It can get a connotation for being bossy, but it's just, again, it's that force in the middle of the hub that's going around the wheel and delegating. Aquarius's connotation is more about contribution participation, making sure that they are playing a part. They're doing their part. It's all about being a part of the group, part of the collective. So contributions, participants, all of that. We also have for Leo, it's popularly appealing. They like to appeal to what the population or most people are going to applaud, what people are going to like, what's going to appeal to the populace. So all of that appeal for popularity is Leo. Aquarius, eclectically unusual, the odd duck, the weird one, the black sheep, the all of that, the rebel. It's got all of those iconoclastic connotations that are unusual or an outlier. It's that rebel that kind of speaks up for someone who doesn't fit in, that everybody gets a seat at the table in some way. It's not popular. Um, the way that they act. Leo is the impetus to centralize creative activity around a personal talent of specialness. So I'm the center of attention. This one activity, this one thing I do, it's the focus on some aspect of self. For Aquarius, it's the impetus to centralize intellectual activity around a collaborative design of like-mindedness. So we want to centralize still with both of these, but instead of it being creative activity, it's intellectual, and it's not about a person, any one person, what they can do. It's around the mission. It's around the group, the project, the network, all of those types of things. Both of them are functioning on this axis I refer to as the axis of centrality. In Leo, the center of attention is the self, me. I'm the shining sun, the star, the center of the system. In Aquarius, it is the the whole backdrop of stars, the whole zodiac, the whole group collective in what they are doing as a whole is the center of attention. They're both fixed, so they like to hold and sustain and keep that energy amassed. And they're both active and yang. The next relationships are the neighbors. And so 4, 5, 6, Leo is wedged in between Cancer and Virgo. And so we can see how they sequence because there's a story and a process that goes around the wheel as the signs sequence. So with Cancer in that cardinal water, we had that from navigating and analyzing the diverse variety of oppositional polarities, that was back in Gemini, in order to fully know the exact nature of something, all that was articulated and disseminated is congealed into a bubble of encapsulation of oneself, held securely with an effort to nurture and protect such as an encasement of one's sensitive soul self, providing soothing comfort. So in Cancer, we took all of that variety from Gemini and we kind of create an eggshell to keep us safe from bombardment, but also kind of a membrane that will allow us to take in and eat and feed and digest and nurture and grow from all of that so we can kind of generate a sense of self. It is really in Cancer that that little soul spark, that seedling of soul gestates and grows from what we eat while keeping out things that are bad and taking in things that are good. That self-care grows who we are. So that then the next stage with Leo, from what's nourished by tenacious roots and nurtured by sensitively protective boundaries. So from keeping that little bubble safe and helping it grow back in Cancer, the inner content of who and what one is blooms into full shine, radiantly expressing its creative brilliance with gusto to enliven a field and audience. So again, this is the hatching out that I said earlier. That bubble that we've grown and nurtured hatches and we shine. We show who we are. It's the being hatching out of the eggshell. We are then enlivened and enlivening others with what we do. So the interactions that we have, the creative expressions that are then received by the audience, whatever field we're in, so to speak. So we're out there, we're shining, we're singing, we're being creative, we're expressing ourselves in Leo. The next stage and the next planet or not planet sign is Virgo, which is mutual Earth, mutual, mutable. I even read my typo. Mutable Earth, changeable, adjustable, the most fluid of Earth. Um, and so from all of the expressions generated prior, everything that we've done, everything that we've shown, all the things that we can express of who we are in Leo, Virgo is where we have a process of examining the fine details to improve performance through better organization for greater efficiency taking place to maintain an optimized routine of order. Tons of Virgo keywords they're previewing. Um, Basically, as Leo changes to Virgo, all of that just shining and holding bright to who we are becomes the movement and the adjustments and the tinkering we do to improve ourselves, to see where maybe we weren't quite perfect, and to try to perfect things, greater efficiency, more practical organization, all of those types of qualities that are practical, earthy, detailed elements of what our creative fun enjoyment is expressing. It's important to note that these neighbors, there's nothing in common. They're not the same element, they're not the same modality. The only reason they kind of can get along is that they know each other because it's, hey, I've been over here and that's where I'm going. So every sign with its neighbors has a sequential flow of familiarity that is represented in their order, and that can kind of bridge the gap a little bit between how different signs are that are neighboring, because they are. The other awkward relationships at the table are the quincunxes or inconjuncts. Those are across the table, but not exactly to the left or the right of the sign opposite. So in this case, Leo is quincunx to Capricorn and Pisces. However, these awkward relationships, if you have something activating all three of these characters together, it produces something called a yod. And that is quite a special configuration that really kind of turns this awkwardness into a little bit of a superpower. First, we'll look at what makes this awkward if you have one end or the other happening, and then we'll think about how both of them could create something a little bit more supportive. First of all, Leo, that fixed fire energy as a release point is all about personal specialness. Me. Look at me. Look what I can do. I'm special, showing it off. I'm having fun. I'm playing around. That's the vibe. It's taking in form of energy is about basking and being seen in moments of joyful expression. So Leo wants to be seen, wants to be having fun. Okay. Just those two things on one. I want to be seen, I want to have fun. Well, Capricorn is not exactly about having fun. Maybe we want to get recognized and have a good reputation, but like we don't necessarily going to have a lot of fun in Capricorn. And then with Pisces, Pisces likes the dreaminess of ooh la la and fun and fulfillment, but it doesn't really like to be seen. It likes to be behind the scenes. So just that thinking about is kind of awkward. Um, Deepening that, thinking about Capricorn as this cardinal Earth, it's about practical accomplishment. We're not just having fun. We're not horsing around. We're trying to get something done in Capricorn. It's about serious attainment. We're not just trying to win a silly game. We're trying to like earn something that's worth something, that's going to last the test of time. So it's about the discipline to be the best and master something. Leo's just like, I like doing it. It's fun to play the trumpet, so I'm going to play it. Capricorn saying, you need to play it 3 hours a day, every day. It's the hard work in Capricorn, where again, it's play, it's fun, it's silly, it's light in Leo. Capricorn's taking in is a mastery of goal completion as an agent of responsible authority. So again, it has some hashtag goals in Capricorn. It wants to master something and get it done, and it wants to become the responsible authority and the top dog. Leo again just wants to be having fun and gets your attention and have you having fun too. So it's not the same motive that they have. Flipping it and thinking about Leo compared to Pisces. Now, Pisces is mutable water, wishy-washy, watery, uh, all that. It's about transpersonal oneness, the oneness of everything. It's really hard to be special and stand out and make it all about me, when we're everybody, we're nobody in Pisces land. It's all about the oneness that, it's not about the person. It's about invisible mysteries, the abstract and visible qualities of life that are behind the scenes. Often Pisces is one of those invisible mysteries behind the scenes. So the idea of being seen and showing off, standing out, maybe being the center of attention, that's not really Pisces' jam, especially. It's about the mystic reflection and the meditative solitude. We want that sanctuary with Pisces. We want to get away from the world and have those private moments. Leo is like looking for an audience to be seen. It's not as much fun to dance if nobody's like oohing and eyeing, you know. So there's a lot of difference there. Pisces taking in is all about soaking in imaginative abstractions of selflessly dreamy idealism. Again, it wants to passively soak. B, whereas Leo's more expressive and wants to do. It's about the imagination and we can have fun in our imagination just thinking about things and feeling things. Where again, Leo wants to be showing and telling, expressing. Pisces is about selflessly dreamy idealism. And Leo is about, what it itself can do, not dream up or imagine. It's about its talent and showing off. So again, not exactly a fit. So these three are not exactly speaking the same language. However, Capricorn and Pisces can form a sextile between this earth and water sign. And so if we have something that's in each of those completing that sextile, and both of those are at about the same place to be talking to something in Leo, then we have a yod that has a base or a platform of that sextile that's pointing a finger at Leo as a release point. So Leo, that creative expression and showing off and shining and all, think about how that can really be supported if one has the serious hard work and discipline. If I like to have fun singing and dancing, well, Capricorn is going to bring the discipline to practice and make sure I'm the best and win all the contests and make sure that I've got the reputation and everybody sees and knows that. So it adds that mastery of being the best, which Leo doesn't have a problem with. It's having fun and it's being the best if Capricorn is in the picture, supporting that kind of mastery. Pisces adds that dreamy, idealistic, emotionally imaginative, poetic aspect that if I'm already creating songs or dances or fun things, a little dose of imagination or being, incubating something that's more profound or emotionally compelling and magnetic and dreamy and otherworldly, if I can really tap in and tune into that otherworldly sense and make it a part of my Leo expressions and creativity, then wow, what I'm putting out there is especially receptive and all of these mystic qualities. And it has a large sense of practical practice and hard work and discipline to it that creates a really strong standing out. It really tunes up and turns on that bright shine of Leo in a way that nothing can argue with how masterful it is. And everybody's compelled by how emotionally sensitized it is. So they can all three work together in that way to create Leo as something that stands out even more although just one half of the picture is in there, it can be a bit of a wonky fit where one side or the other is getting a turn while the other one can feel left out. So that is how these three signs talk in their quincunx relationship. Some easier relationships come from the allies of Gemini and Libra. Gemini and Libra are the air signs closest to Leo, so they're 60 degrees apart, making sextiles. And we can see they all kind of help and support one another. I'm going to kind of start in Leo in the middle here and just remind us that that fixed fire, creatively playful displays of entertaining enjoyment for managing fun expressions. Yes, we're having fun, we're playing. It's all favorable towards showcases of enlivening an audience with generous outpours of energy. So yes, we're giving of our talents and we're keeping the vibe active and energized and fun loving and all of that. That's what Leo loves. Gemini and Libra can help. Gemini is mutable air. Let's keep the conversation moving. Let's make the variety arise. It's quick movements to learn from a variety of factors and then communicate findings favorable towards inquisitive navigations. So Gemini is going to ask lots of questions. It's going to look at both sides of every equation. It's going to have lots of options. It is all about creating a buffet of places we can go, things we can talk about, what we can do. It's inquisitive. It's discovering more. It's uncovering more. It's fanning the flames of how we can have fun. Leo loves Gemini. And Leo adds a fun mix to all of the movement. It makes the ride more enjoyable for Gemini. They ride well. Libra, cardinal air. Libra will start the interaction. It wants to go out. It wants to do something social. Libra will bring the audience. Libra will be the audience that Leo loves. Libra is the friendly social outreach to pleasantly engage others and initiate connections. It's favorably open for introductions of all manners. So Libra likes to be pleasant and cooperative and compromising and all of these things that are pleasant for the social arena. And so it's going to be smiling and enjoying Leo, which is going to make Leo want to show off more. It's going to add in that quality of groups of other people that brings the audience, the attention that Leo wants, so that they both support and fan each other. Challenging relationships square off towards Leo from Taurus and Scorpio. So not so easy, but also bold and loud. They're all going to hear one another. Taurus and Scorpio are also fixed signs, but these three are all different elements, and they don't complete Leo the way Aquarius did across the table. So they can kind of go back and forth and challenge one another, although that stimulates and catalyzes a lot of change. Leo is that fixed fire that has a strong drive to hold onto a sense of specialized identity that boldly expresses itself in a fun and entertaining manner, applauded by others for its vivacious showmanship and confident presentation. So it wants to, because it's fixed, it's holding on to something. It has a strong hold on identity, fire quality, who I am. I'm important. I'm special. And it's expressing that for fun, for entertainment, so that others can see it and enjoy the glow. Taurus, fixed earth, doesn't really care about being seen, but it has a strong drive to hold personal values firmly so as to accumulate and develop more worth for practical enjoyment of essential nature by way of fortifying one's self-reliant sustainability. So Taurus is going to do what it wants, which is know what it likes and get more of it. It's going to have what it likes. It's going to develop whatever it thinks is worth it for enjoyment. It has in common with Leo, they both like enjoyment. They both like the fun. But Taurus is fine to do its own thing. It does not need others to see it. It doesn't necessarily need to be involved with others or do things for others. It needs to make sure it is getting and having what it likes. It will hold on to that. It wants to reliably sustain that. Leo doesn't want to operate in a vacuum. It wants to do what it does for others to enjoy, to have fun. So it's got that interactive side. And we can see this. I was also thinking, they're both on the bottom half. So it's about self, but Leo's on the right. It's about others it's within ourself with others. Taurus is within ourselves with self. Scorpio is others out in the world more so. It's up there at the top. It's fixed water. It also is fixed with a strong drive to hold, but it wants to hold intimate relationships. The quality of others is a little bit stronger than just being audience members or something to receive our expressions. Scorpio wants the relationships that do business so that both parties are really coming together. It's the merging and the importance of both parties mutually investing in deepening joint empowerment by way of sharing resources to eliminate debts and generate greater interest. Scorpio is all about involvement, entanglement, investment with other, and really wanting to get into bed and business with them so that there's a we quality. Leo's like, I can be the central figure. Leo can stand out. It can be its own thing. It wants other people around. It wants the audience and the applause and all of that. But to be, equally involved or joint sharing and all that's not exactly Leo's MO. They both enjoy others, but Leo is more about its creativity, Whereas Scorpio is quite interested in others and investing and knowing what others' resources are and how they operate in conjunction with self. So a little bit of differences there that can bump up against one another because they're all having that strong drive to hold, but it's all based on a different element and it leads to different motivations. Last relationships are the easiest, the elemental fire buddies. Everything that's the same element gets along swimmingly. So Aries and Sagittarius are some of Leo's best friends. Fire in general, again, is creative, energetic, outgoing, expressive, passionate, warm, and hot. So they all have those things in common. They've got the same kind of baseline there. With Aries, we had a cardinal fire that was identity action. Soul sparked into action according to raw desire stemming from one's immediate sense of instinctual self at hand without further complication. Drive to take charge and charge ahead as a pioneer into new territory. Aries is your doer. They want to take their identity and put it in action. They want to go do something. Let's go whitewater rafting. Let's go skydiving. Let's go. They want to be in action. They want to be doing things that are just instinctually compelled. Leo, fixed fire, is identity security, holding on to a strong sense of who we are. And it's not necessarily wrapped up with what we do so much as who we are. So the soul is inspired to focus on solidifying and then generously radiating, glowing, and creatively expressing that which it loves as especially fun and playful about itself, enlivening enjoyment and shining forth qualities that boldly establish a strong command of self. So we really want people to see us and like it's like having a brand in Leo. Aries doesn't care about having a brand. It just wants to be free to go do what it wants to do. It doesn't care if you watch it or give it attention, as long as it's able to keep running and put itself into motion and do. Aries is happy. Leo is wanting again to have some kind of attention and recognition, and wants to be seen. It's offering its energy, and so it wants somewhere for that energy to land with. Um, Aries is more so doing it for itself. Leo is doing it for itself and enjoyment, but it wants to be involved with others. Um, so it's got that strong sense of self, um, again with others. Sagittarius moves this fire energy up a little bit into that collective domain with mutable fire in our identity learning. So it's like who we are then expands. We have a broader definition of ourselves for more cultural immersion and involvement. So it's a soul exploring foreign ideas to expand its scope of self, broadening its identification as a grander citizen of life, aspiring to reach a greater range with a unified message of cohesive vision, inspiring righteous collective progress. So it's that Sagittarius stage of identity where whoever we are, it's really it's the eat, pray, love. It's the idea of going to far off places, seeing how other cultures operate, and synthesizing the big picture of that which is unified together, and how there are similar collective human aims among all beings, and how we're part of a larger collective identity and family, and what the meaning and the truth is about that hero's journey and quest that we're all on. So all of these signs have something to do with identity, and they're all active about it. We're either just taking action, or we're exploring and learning, or we're showing what we enjoy and sharing that. So all of these outpours of fiery energy get along really well around the table in that trine relationship. Now let's look at this year of Splash. So Leo season is starting on July 22nd, and it looks like it will be tuning in at that 0 point at 3:14 p.m. So 3:14 on the 22nd, it is officially Leo time. At that moment, it looks like the sun, since it just crossed into Leo, is starting to tune into the Pluto, Neptune, and Uranus configuration that is the big news for the next little bit, because all of those planets are together in Aquarius, Aries, and Gemini, right at the first 4 degrees. And so the sun there, and it's getting close to its conjunction with Jupiter, is tuning in by a trine to Neptune. It's sextile Uranus. It's opposite Pluto, which is also the story with Jupiter opposite Pluto. Um, the sun is basically shining the light, and so it's, excuse me, it's shining a light most significantly around this beginning period with Jupiter. So we're starting to have a sense of expanding what is fun and who we are. This sense of grand identity is in a phase of expansion just by virtue of Jupiter being there. And so the sun is starting to add some light to that. So there's a lot of positive quality, a lot of self-expression, a lot of playful enjoyment about who we are, what we find fun, how we want to share our talent, how we want to grow that or broadcast our outreach with that. So there's a lot of growth kind of quality to that. This just the sun vibe. It's also in favor with, doing things that are a little different or off the beaten track, doing things with a little splash of that Neptunian glamour, poetic abstraction. And then opposite Pluto is the sense we've got the sense of some big rebirths, big transformations or changes. So something about what we want to grow into, what we think will be fun in a big way, maybe some long-term fun, long-range goals, could in some way require something that we've done before, some part of us to die. There could be a bit of a power struggle between who we are and who we want to be. There could be other people or other groups that we've been a part of that feel like they're holding us back or trying to control us via the affiliation with them, where we are stepping more into our own sense of self and pride and ego, and maybe cutting ties with affiliations that feel overly oppressive, controlling, or for lack of a better word, just not fun is kind of how this first little flash could go. We're really getting in touch with who we are, what's fun, what we want to enjoy, and willing to transform ourselves in a way that cuts ties with things that are not along that best interest. And we will see this theme broaden just by virtue of Jupiter doing this dance longer. Uh, it just signifies in longer spans of time than this month big changes of enlivenment and growth of who we are and what our sense of self and command is, pulling away or maybe coming off the wake of something dying, whether we lose something and inherit something else, or if we just really make some big moves that radically transform what kind of power or confidence or resources we have to share. So that's part of that. Mercury stalled retrograde square Saturn. Yeah, Mercury has been retrograde, going back doing a review of, what kind of self-care we're doing, what's safe, what's not, how am I taking care of myself? And it's kind of grinding to a halt in the square to Saturn. So it's really been kind of toughened up by Saturn getting hard with it about what the details are that matter and what it needs to do and what needs to stop or what needs to be taken more seriously. And so Mercury is still considering all these Saturnian factors about self-care and safety and its role in taking action or where it's taking action, where it's not, and being more slow and steady and mindful about what it's communicating, doing, acting, all of those things. Venus and Mars are in a tight square, 14 to 16, and that's going to be a theme all Leo. So there is definitely this Leo season a romance vibe afoot. There is something spicy, a spicy chase, a spicy romance. And this could also be a part of, what's enlivening that Jupiterian sense of fun and what we want to grow into, and maybe a sense of self or a way we've collectively associated with ourself that we're breaking from. But this Venus and Mars is really, showcasing Venus has got this enjoyment for a little bit of practical order and efficiency and planning. Whereas there's also just this go get 'em with Mars and Gemini to try both things or just, do for the sake of doing. So we've kind of got this together gal, Venus, and this kind of jack of all trades, Mars, that are kind of stimulating one another and kind of goading one another to have some spicy relationships. We could see that us being the trickster and liking to try things both ways or having an opinion that goes both ways or flip-flopping around can both frustrate and stimulate our friends or significant others who have set plans. Maybe it's like, oh my gosh, I have to readjust, but at the same time, they're like, ooh, well, maybe that's better. So it's got this frustrating yet stimulating quality that's a sexy dance of a Venus-Mars square in the mix for this Leo season. Venus is also part of a quincunx at Saturn right here at the beginning, signifying maybe some like a seesaw of uh maybe who I want to hang out with or the social occasions and the things that I find pleasurable that I'd really like to, keep planned really are at ends with some of the duties or the things that I have to tend with or the things that I know I can't do or I have to do, all of those hard, heavy parts of the equation, can't do, have to do, the restrictive Saturnian qualities. Um, it can be a little bit of a this or that at the beginning. And it could be highlighting where we want to work and what we're cutting ties with, what we're trying to grow and what we're leaving behind. So that could be mixed up in that stance. Um, the involvement of Venus and Mars with Uranus is slipping into the rear view. Mars is separating from the conjunction. Venus is separating from the square. So it's like if there were some new or unusual people or timings or things that have gotten stimulated in that social sphere, um, there might just be a lot more interaction. I mean, it's more stable than Uranus involved as it fades, but Venus square Mars is not hashtag stable, especially either. It's very dynamic, but it's more of a stable dynamic. So perhaps, maybe the electric jolting in or out of various figures is taking a rest while we're exploring who's around already in some way, and just the interactions that are afoot rather than generating new ones or, in or out so much. Um, Jupiter tuned to Pluto, Neptune, and Uranus. We've already talked about that. Jupiter is part of that configuration now with all of those key planets at four. There's been a lot written about, I guess, like some kind of basket um, configuration. It's really just this force of growth that in Leo with Jupiter is about growing fun, enjoyment, enlivenment, like the good stuff, really. Um, being at ends with the control and the forces of Pluto that are holding on and, in some way holding back transformation while secretly excavating for it further. There's that sense of big, deep transformations between just Jupiter and Pluto there. And then Jupiter's tuning in with Uranus and uh, Neptune the same way that Pluto is. It's just adding that favorability, that favorable foundation of things that are outside the box, avant-garde, spontaneous, mutative from Uranus, and things that transcend boundaries, that are nebulous, that are not understood, and selflessly miraculous from Neptune. So there's a lot of cosmic lube, so to speak, from Neptune and Uranus that is supporting the excavations of growth and transformation that Jupiter and Pluto are engaged with. For week two, as we move forward, you can see that the Sun and Jupiter are conjunct. That looks to be quite a bright day. It looks like this one's actually July 29th, so that looks to be a large time. And it's actually even a Moon opposite Jupiter, full moon day. I don't talk about the moon in these a lot because it moves so fast, but around the 29th is a full moon that's also activating that Jupiter opposite Pluto. So again, just big, deep, compelling, transformative, growth-inducing, something culminating around that time looks to be pretty ripe, in a big way, in a good way, in a deep way. Pluto can also always add a dark edge or a loss or a shadow of some kind, but that's just part of the archetypal process sometimes. So, but something definitely highlighting a good big culminating kind of change or birth at that point. The Venus Mars square exacting. It's even tighter. It's 21 and 21. So I just say that dance is on. Um, we also see that the Mercury retrograde is over. So he's moving forward and he's sextile Venus. So there's some favorability between communications, and all of those Cancerian considerations Mercury's in with our Virgonian Venus, with order, plans, etc. Whereas Mars is still kind of being, I see Mars being like the kid who's into the girl that like pulls her ponytail in elementary school, or saying the opposite thing or going against what the plan is just to kind of ruffle her feathers. That's kind of how I see Mars playing with Venus now. It's just like saying the opposite thing to get a rise out, being that kind of trickster that throws a wrench in her perfectly orchestrated plans. And she's like kind of like not into it, but she's also kind of is and likes it. There's something maybe she hasn't thought about, or it gives her something else to do because she's the working girl. So there's some kind of enjoyment and like in this fun little romantic Venus Mars dance we have still. And here we can see that the nodes have changed. This has been in the mix coming for a bit. The nodes now have the south node in Leo and the north node in Aquarius, which means that we are moving towards the collective consideration and that kind of group Aquarian vibe, whereas we are very familiar with our me, myself, and I Leo vibe. And Sun and Jupiter is giving everybody a good memory on a good day of um, being full of ourselves, full of ego, full of a sense of me, me, me. It's like we're all having our birthday on this day to think Sun and conjunct Jupiter and Leo. Like me, me, me. It's all about me. And the South Node in Leo is is tapping that ancient memory or that part of us that has a lot of resume in that zone, while it's pulling us towards more of that collective, collaborative participation of Aquarius. Week three, a lot of the same in general. Sun has moved and separated from Jupiter a little bit, which means that it's still loosely involved with Pluto and Uranus, perhaps, and Neptune a little, but it's starting to edge more towards that trine with Saturn. So it's like from these forward thinking, long term, long range goals and plans that Jupiter might have enlivened. We're now tuning into Saturn with that sense of hard work. What do I need to do? What's the discipline that's required for me to get to have this fun in a big way, like I got a taste of, or to make this transformation? How do I get a stable foundation of support? Saturn is bringing that into the mix for the sun at this stage. Venus and Mars still doing their square dance. They are still in effect from the same signs. They're edging towards a sign change and activating those transpersonal planets. But right now they're still in Virgo and Gemini, so their dance is the same. So you can see what's gearing up. Venus is getting into a trine with a grand trine with Uranus and Pluto. Um, so something is uh, really tuning in well for relationships and others presents. We've got a little more motivation coming in for others, even though there's a lot of focus on ourself and what's fun. It looks like what we're going to have to build. And in order to sustain that fun and to take on this new role, really is going to have to be favorably working well with others. And we see that into week four. Sun is still trine Saturn, so it's still building in a sustainable, serious way. It's approaching the nodes, so we're tapping in. It's getting closer and closer to that south node, tapping in with its strong sense of self and command. Mercury in Leo now is approaching Jupiter, so our mind and our planning and our communication is taking on more of that outward expressive quality, maybe more outspoken, more bold, also more forward thinking, more explorative, all of these kind of broadening, enlivening qualities to the mind that might have been playing it safe and really getting its ducks in a row back in Cancer. Venus into Libra and Mars into Cancer. So Libra's in its home sign now, making it's really adding emphasis to the landscape of others, the landscape of relating well, compromising, coordinating, cooperating, all of those qualities. Mars is in Cancer now, so it's gone from being um, maybe a little bit more of a bully in Gemini, going back and forth and being all about um the differences and the devil's advocate. Now it's in Cancer where it's really kind of driven to like want something you can count on, want something at home, want something that's safe and comfy, cozy. Um, and it might not be it's almost like Mars might not enjoy taking as much as it was dishing out before in this playful dance. It's now wanting to, be at home or it's got the drive for familiar, whereas Venus is now ready to like put on her dress and shoes and go out and socialize and to be involved with others. And so there's a little bit to their square dance that can might show some of that. Mars is working itself also into a square with Neptune, which is suggesting it doesn't exactly know what we want. It's almost like pulling the pigtails and all these little antics wasn't working exactly. And now we're not exactly sure what we want or how to go about getting it. We have a lot of romantic fantasy and a lot of ooh la la and steam with Mars square Neptune. And it's also in a quincunx with Pluto, um, that kind of can lend to like I almost get the vibe of like being more, I don't want to say at the mercy of others, but like having our ego more the pendulum swinging to like more uh impressed by others or more subject to others in some way. While again, all that Leo focus, it's like it's all about us. There's a lot of self-referential, what we want, where we're going, how we're doing it, what's fun. Um, but the Mars drive is really like, to do all that, what do I need to incubate inside? And it's like playing it a little safer and quieter and being being less likely to aggravate or play devil's advocate to others, more likely to um, respond favorably to others is kind of the vibe that I get, and being more submissive towards group necessities or the way that things need to be or they're being asked to be, that kind of vibe. Venus making that grand trine with Uranus and Pluto just signifies deep relationships, group relationships, spontaneous relationships, all sorts of surprises, and deep, enriching kind of things that are also a little dreamy. Neptune's in that mix too. So Venus, as the personal planet, has got a lot of activity during this fourth week of Leo season that suggests social outings, pleasure, all rather significant. Fifth week, the sun is inching closer and closer to that south node, which is at 29 degrees Leo. We just know it's opposite that north node, which is the fixed star Regalis, a lot of royal importance. So it's like that really Leo point of Leo where we're really getting in touch with um, our majesty, our boss feature, and the downside of like where we've been too bossy or had too much pride or hubris. All of those royal crown qualities are getting a central spotlight on them as the sun is starting to reach towards a square to Uranus. So something unpredictable, something radical, something a shakeup of some sort around the corner when it changes into Leo. Mercury's past its conjunction with Jupiter, so again, communication should be blooming and broadening. Long range plans kind of starting to conceptualize, just all this travel and thinking and communication qualities really bright, shining, growing. And Mercury is now also trining Saturn. So again, this idea of having a lot of mental clarity and focus about plans for the future, related to who we are, what we want to be, what's fun, what's enjoyable, merging all of those qualities together in a sense that is planning, fortifying, aiming to go somewhere, building something. Um, that theme is continuing. Venus and Mars, they are still in the square. They're still activating Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, so there's not much that's changed. They are starting to, the square is weakening. Venus is starting to get a little bit ahead of Mars now, but there's still just some sort of dance between ourself and others, the romance of life, the interpersonal dynamics, all of that is still necessitating it's necessitating a lot of involvement between ourselves and others, clarifying our desire nature and the role that we have in that and the role that others have in that. That's very key to be looked at this Leo season and a little bit of a Leo theme. What do we enjoy? What do other people enjoy? How do other people enjoy us? What do we want other people to enjoy from us? Are they enjoying it? Are they not enjoying it? All of those considerations. And then the end will actually be August the 22nd at 10:18 p.m. That's the last moment of Leo time at 29:59. Sun is on Regalis then, and arguably some people have said it is now at the beginning of Virgo, so we'll talk about it again next season, a splash. But here at the end, prominent run-ins with solar figures, whether it's father figures, bosses, prominent star quality, famous people, all of those royal, regal Leo features are especially pronounced at 29 degrees Leo, and the sun there is shining a spotlight on that. It's also spotlighting that royal, entitled, big ego part of ourselves, the roles that we've played that have been bigger than life in some ways. And Mercury is conjoining that. So there's a lot of intellectualizing and thinking about our sense of importance and our leadership and how we manage ourselves and others. That's all, and how we are managing the fun and enjoyment of our life, all in that consideration. Venus Mars still in the square. Venus opposite Saturn now. So there's that trine is kind of gone. And Venus is culminating with Saturn. So something about our relationships reaching an apex around this time, where we're either maybe Saturn and Venus is going to be everything from really cementing a relationship, whether it's through things like a marriage or a merger or something that's got some serious committed qualities, or an ending or a parting or saying that this relationship is finalized and done. Um, Both in some way or either of those possibilities are possible. Mars is still engaged in a square with Neptune, but it's squaring Mars and to Saturn also. That Venus and Mars is still square. It's almost like this sexy dance that has been pulling pigtails and going back and forth is reaching a point here at the end of Leo season, where so it's either been so, you know, infuriating that we are saying enough is enough and we're putting a stop. There's like a stop to a relationship, that we were going back and forth all month over, or maybe it's been flattering enough that we are taking it to the next level and graduating it to some kind of stage of taking it more seriously. So that's, there's been a lot of energy and excitement and depth with our relating, and a lot of fun chase. This is a point where we're either seeing is the pressure worth it, or is this something that is not desirable and finishing up would be the opposite of that. Jupiter opposite to Pluto and trine Neptune is winding down as it's starting to trine Saturn. So some of that magic of Jupiter mixing with the transpersonal planets is starting to fade as it's getting more serious too with Saturn. And we can also see that Jupiter and Venus are in a sextile. There's something supportive in our relationships that are going to have some longevity and growth towards goals. So that the best way I can put this relationship romance Leo vibe into a predictive format would be that if the dance with others has been going back and forth this month and just been superficial and frivolous and maybe fun and romantic, but there's not anything we're building, there's not anything serious, there's not anything that's growth inducing towards our goals and our sense of self with that fun, it's probably going to fade. It's probably going to be not worth it. It's probably going to hit a roadblock of not checking the boxes of what we need for our self-care and development. However, if the opposite is found to be true, that it is maybe running in tandem to some of our goals and where we're trying to build our sense of identity in this life, if it's along those lines, then this could be a graduation scenario. And we'll look at how it continues to form in Virgo season next month. So this has been our Astro Round Table for Leo. I hope everybody's gotten something new and exciting and learned a little lion lore they didn't know before from everything we've talked over. And again, this was a solo run. Nobody joined in live today, but if there are any questions or comments, you can leave them along with the video, and I'll respond to them when I can. All right. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. I hope you have an enjoyable rest of your now.